Alright, so here are my thoughts on Magic Boy! Magic Boy! Okay, so as you can see, I had to get the DVD for this one. Yeah, because as you may notice, this is English. You know, all this description's in English, even though this movie was made in Japan. So yeah, I think this is one of the first movies that was, first Japanese movies that was re-released in America. So because of that, it's not really public domain. So yeah, it's not public domain, so you're not gonna find it on YouTube. Also, at the same time, since it's like a relatively obscure movie, you're not likely going to find it on any other website. So yeah, the Disney movies, you can at least find them somewhere. I won't tell you where, because give a little too much away. But so yeah, I just went ahead and decided I wanted to check out this movie, so I went ahead and bought the DVD. Yeah, I ordered it on Amazon, and also there's another DVD I ordered, one that an animated movie from a little farther back that I kind of intentionally skipped because I could only get it on DVD. Or, I can only, order it on Amazon. I had to pay money for it, basically. So, yeah, there's another one I'm expecting in the mail. I went ahead and ordered. I figured since, I was ordering this movie that I should just go ahead and order that one. But yeah, I'll review that one in a couple days when it arrives. Or, after I get to watch it. So, yeah. Magic Boy! Magic Boy! Got that song stuck in my head. If you've watched the movie, yeah, the song's bound to get stuck in your head. So, yeah, it's about this young martial artist, samurai kid who lives in the forest with his older sister. And like with most animated movies, he's friends to the animals. He can interact with them. And then one day while trying to his sister serves a lunch of what appears to be yams, and he shares them with his animal friends. And then at one point, there's only one left. He lets the little bear cub have the last one, and then the bear cub kind of stupidly shows it off to the other animals, and it's going to lead to them trying to steal it from him, and they do, and he's like chasing after them. And then along the way, he awakens a hive of bees or something, and then what was next? Then he gets chased around by them, and then there's this, and then they end up starting chasing this deer named Tinkle. The kid actually named his deer Tinkle. The reason is obviously because the deer has a bell around its neck. So yeah, it's Tinkle as in bell tinkle, but still, you can't. They probably didn't think about it then, but nowadays you can't really say tinkle without thinking of something else. But yeah, then somewhere along the way, the Tinkle gets captured by this eagle or something, and then the kid has to save him. The deer gets dropped into this whirlpool or something. The kid saves the deer, but then he gets attacked by this witch who has apparently awakened. And yeah, the sister tells the kid about the story. of this witch and how she used to torture everyone, and then, she got cast away by this powerful magician guy. Yeah. But then she, reawakened after he died, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, the kid wants to defeat the witch. In order to do that, he needs to learn magic. So yeah, he runs off. He runs off to find this master who will teach him magic. And along the way, he meets an old hermit whose eyebrows are hanging off of his forehead. I had to point that out. His eyebrows are hanging off of his forehead. And yeah, he starts teaching the kid, At first it just kind of seems like basic martial arts training. Somehow it leads to the kid having magic powers. It doesn't really explain how he gets them through that training. But yeah, now he can cast all these spells. He can turn invisible. He can appear from one spot to another. The powers seem kind of limited, and the same goes for the animation. Usually when something appears somewhere or disappears, there's just kind of a lazy wipe effect. So yeah, I do think the powers are a little lackluster, at least compared to what you might see in other animated movies and stuff. You compare the powers shown off in this movie to the ones that Maleficent shows off in Sleeping Beauty, then yeah, it doesn't seem that impressive. But I accept that. I know that Japan didn't have quite as much to. Quite as much. They weren't as experienced or as wealthy as Disney was. So, yeah. And then another issue with the animation is, take a look at the cover, the mouths. Look at the kid's mouth. His whole face kind of makes him look like a vampire. But yeah, mostly just the lips. And then, of course, the witch looks even weirder, although I guess it might be intentional to make her look hideous or freaky or something like that. And yeah, I guess that kind of worked. She does have the freakiest mouth in the movie. I suppose that might have been intentional. And then there's this little girl who has a really freaky looking mouth. And then there's a whole story with two of these bandits who are working for there's this whole gang of bandits, but two of the bandits they kind of go through a bit of an arc with the little girl, and they turn good in the end. She brings out their softer side, if you will. And yeah, there's also this samurai prince who basically looks like the kid as an adult. They look very similar. And yeah, he falls in love with the kid's sister, so yeah. And she gets kidnapped, of course. Anything else to talk about? Well, the mouth animation is very distracting. It's definitely not that attractive. The rest of the animation I think is pretty good, though, if a little limited. I do wonder if it was a dubbing thing that led to the mouths, because, I don't know. Something to... Because if the idea was to, make the mouth movements match the dialogue, then, well, I don't know why they made them look like that, if that's what led to it. But otherwise, it does seem like a bit of a downgrade from what I saw with, Tale of the White Serpent. That movie managed to look mostly attractive. I can't remember any mouths that just looked hideous or anything. It just, I don't know. Maybe this is like Japan's transition from regular mouth movements into like the rather simplified mouth movements you see in a lot of anime. If you've seen enough anime, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It's like, yeah. But yeah, the mouths just looked really weird. Like, okay, so what else is there to talk about? Oh, the samurai prince kills a lot of bandits, and there's no blood, but it's seriously, like, they all react like they're bleeding. Like, for instance, he cuts this guy's throat, and he reacts like he just had his throat slit, and, you know, it looks like there should be blood, but, you know, it just looks really weird. It's just, you know, they all react like they're literally getting cut open, but you know, there's no blood. And again, I'm wondering if that's a dubbing thing, like, or, you know, I wonder if there's blood in, like, the original Japanese version, but they cut it for American audiences. Because otherwise, I would picture this movie being pretty gory for kids. But yeah, if that's what it's like in the Japanese version, then damn, pretty gory kids movie. At least I think it's a kids movie. What's the rating on this thing? I don't see a rating. Okay, so, it's unrated. Well, whatever the case, it's a movie that you can show to your kids, or at least the American version. And, is there anything else I want to point out? Anything else worth, commenting on? Well, I think it's a very fun story. I do like the characters are mostly quite likable, if simple. Like, again, there's, these cute little animal sidekicks, like in, White Serpent. And yeah, the, bear in this movie kind of reminds me quite a bit of the panda from White Serpent. Tinkle's cute. Tinkle's a cute little deer with a bell. And yeah. And then of course the witch, she's a pretty entertaining villain. Creepy in more ways than one. It's probably mostly because of the unintentional creepiness of her mouth, or at least I think it's unintentional. She also has a pretty, what's the word? I guess gruesome is a word I could use. It's definitely something you could put into nightmare fuel territory, her demise. With that, basically it's the typical growing into like getting really old and then rotting into a skeleton. So yeah, I gave that little detail away. But yeah, I think this was a very entertaining movie, and I don't know if I like it more than Tale of the White Snake. I can't quite decide, actually. Tale of the White Snake had a bit more going on in terms of, like, emotion, but this one was, this one had more entertainment to it. The animation, I think, was quite a downgrade from White Serpent, mostly because of the mouths. But still, I did really enjoy this movie, and, yeah, I give Magic Boy an 8 out of 10. I would definitely recommend it for anime fans. And yeah, this is, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should say, because, well, yeah, this video is gonna run a little too long if I stay much longer, so whatever. Mashit and Smash It signing off.